I don't know you personally, but I thought that was disgusting. And anybody who support that Nick Fuentes guy who shamed my friend who's now dead, it bothers me to no end.
Dave Smith versus one of Israel's puppets, Officer Brandon Tatum. Now, this is so great for so many reasons, but I think what I love about this is, so right now what Israel has kind of realized, or what the Zionists have realized, is they have to get people of color to be Zionists for them. So they have that like Xavier Rousseau guy who's basically like Candace Owens' paid replacement on Ben Shapiro's network. And then you have this guy, the Officer Tatum dude, who's like clearly a paid operative. And then you have that, he's not a person of color, but then you also have the misfit patriot dude on Twitter who's clearly like a paid Zionist operative to like talk to the MAGA guys. Like, look, it's a guy who wears a cap and drives a truck and he loves Israel for some reason. And anytime anyone says anything critical of Israel on the right, he's there to defend Israel for some reason. This very organic trucker guy with a hat. So Dave Smith has just, clearly been on a roll. Another person who ties into the Charlie Kirk thing, because he was someone who I actually watched this. I don't know if you've seen this yet. And if you haven't, I recommend you watch it. But Dave Smith debated Josh Hammer from Newsweek at the last Turning Points USA event. And because of the way the algorithm works now, of course, I'm getting those TPUSA events in my feed. So I watched Dave Smith's debate against Josh Hammer, and it's pretty crazy. First of all, how bad Dave makes Josh look, but second of all, how with Dave the audience is. You hear them cheering when he like slaps Josh down, and this is no difference. There's not an audience, but Dave just really smacks this guy around to the point where the guy's like, if it was like a boxing match, the guy's like cartoonishly like seeing stars at some points. So let's get into it. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but there's a lot of really good footage in this bit of media. There's a lot of good footage for you. Let's make sure we're at full volume here. Here we go.
Shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth.
You're an anti-Semite.
We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I can just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him?
You're an anti-Semite.
That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem.
You're an anti-Semite.
Dave Smith, what did you make of that?
I don't know. I mean, I see people freaking out about this on social media today, but I think what I took from the message was that, yeah, he's telling the foundational story of Christianity and making the point that obviously Charlie Kirk was, when you're assassinating someone for the crime of trying to have open dialogue and discussion, the idea is you're trying to silence that guy. You're against this discussion taking place. And I think the point Tucker was making was that, if killing someone silenced their ideas, then the last several thousand years of Western civilization would look quite differently. And that the idea being that Charlie Kirk's his ideas are now going to have, which is I think just factually true, a larger platform and resonate with more people than they even could have in his life.
As indeed did Jesus Christ's views after his crucifixion. Officer Tatum, I mean, a lot of people have tried to spin this as Tucker Carlson being anti-Semitic, very predictable, because that's the stick used to beat anyone that does anything that may possibly be construed that way. What did you make of that part of his speech?
Well, I want to address the anti-Semitic thing. I think that people, and this is my advice to people who are Zionists or people who are Jews.
You're an anti-Semite.
You got to stop with the pushing the anti-Semitic thing every time somebody says something you don't like. You have to stop. I was just
You're an
talking to a friend
anti-Semite.
yesterday that said he just got bombarded with people calling him an anti-Semite because he shared a post of somebody who, may have had a difference of opinion. So that needs to stop, or you're going to lose all credibility and respect from good people that love you. Now, Tucker Carlson, when I first watched it, I'm going to be honest, I didn't.
To be fair, that was good for him to say that. I should probably slow this down a little bit.
None of it. You know, I don't really like Tucker very much, but and I do think that he has a lot of negative things to say unjustifiably about Israel, but he's entitled to his own opinion. But I can see why some people are thinking that he may have been subliminally saying things that were connecting Israel to this whole thing.
You're an
Now, I
anti-Semite.
don't go down the bandwagon because I can't unequivocally prove that, but I did find it interesting that he had made mention as if Charlie was really an attack or attacking the government, as if Charlie's death was directly associated with government officials, when in fact it was really these narcissistic lunatics that are over-medicated that hate Charlie because he's countering the arguments that we see that's pervasive on campus. The government is not taking extreme positions as the kids on campus are taking. They're brainwashed. I've been on campus. I've been to probably 40 universities. The kids on campus don't live in reality. They live in an alternate reality. They don't live like we do. We pay taxes. We have to go to work. We have to be nuanced about arguments and things that we get involved in. They are completely radicalized. So I think that people,
that's the argument they want to make too. Oh, these kids just don't know any better. They're stupid. All these college kids are just dummies. No, the college kids are actually a lot smarter than you want to give them credit for. Just because they don't see the world in the same way that you do, because they're not paid by the same people that handle you.
could take it a certain way, but let me tell you this. It seems as if Charlie was very good friends with Tucker Carlson. And it seems to me that Tucker Carlson can say whatever he want to say, and that may be the way he liked to grieve, or that's the way that he wanted to present himself at a ceremony. And I think people should leave it alone unless you have unequivocal evidence that he was somehow trying to do that, because you cheapen the love and respect and dedication that all of the people who spoke at the ceremony had for Charlie Kirk's life. People,
he's right on this. Actually, he's making good points. He's like, why are you guys? He's like, it's stupid for you to say this is some like anti-Semite shit. So I applaud him for that, for having that sensibility. But it's all downhill from here. Let me assure you.
Got to stop trying to go too deep on both sides. Let the man be loved and appreciated by everybody who was on stage, and quit trying to conjure up controversy and conspiracies.
Chris, can I just add to that? Because I do think there's something kind of interesting, like, because like, you know, having a black conservative and a Jewish guy who's like a critic of Israel, there's always like some parallels that I see between those two positions. And I think maybe we could, like, across the board on all of these things, people got to just stop making accusations of bigotry based off of what you're guessing the other person was dog whistling. Like, you're saying that there was a secret message hidden somewhere in what the other person said. Listen, say what you will about Tucker Carlson. I know Brandon said he's not a big fan. I love the guy. Of all the things you could criticize him for, he'll tell you how he feels. I promise you. He'll tell you how he feels. If he has a controversial view, he'll say it. He's not hiding some view embedded in his story here. And people got to get over this, man. Now, I do want to ask, though, I got to say, because as you mentioned there, you said that, you know, your friend was being called anti-Semitic for sharing a clip of what someone else thought. And listen, man, we don't know each other, but literally the only interaction we've ever had is you called me, I think, a devil and one of the worst people in America the other day, also for sharing a clip
disgusting.
of somebody else.
No. I'm glad you brought it up, because there's a reason why I said that. It's not that I somehow mentioned something about you just in passing. You shared a post of one of the most disingenuous, evil individuals that I've ever seen online. Nick Fuentes shamed Charlie.
Okay, so listen to this guy. He just went full Karen. This tough guy cop is like, you shared a post that's so offensive by one of these devil men, and I can't believe you would share something so hurtful. It really hurt my feelings as a big tough cop. It really hurt me.
That's beautiful, man.
Anyway, here we go.
Ever since 2017, he would come out, harass, accost Charlie at events. He would harass his wife. Him and the gropers would harass my wife because she's white. And this guy said Charlie is a fake Christian and he's disgusting and he should never be able to be on campus without being shouted down. And then he comes out and makes a fake apology. And I felt like you supported that. And then also my art with you. I had never met you before. I disagree with you on Israel, but I respect that you come with your opinions. But when you were on stage at SAS and you chastised those young people and said they can never claim to be pro-life ever again because they support a genocide, I thought that was the most disgusting thing that any adult man could say to young kids who was just seeking the truth and openly listening to a debate between you and another individual. So
again, this guy instantly, this is how you know he's a paid Zionist, because he goes right to the victim shit. Like, oh, you attacked the children. How dare you attack the children, David Smith? You tried to hurt the children's feelings by pointing out that if they support genocide, they can't call themselves pro-life. How dare you, David? You hurt my feelings. You hurt the children.
I hear you. It's definitely a tiger by the tail.
Only reason I said that is based on those principles alone. I don't know you personally, but I thought that was disgusting. And anybody who support that Nick Fuentes guy who shamed my friend who's now dead, it bothers me to no end.
Dave?
Okay, well, look, I mean, again, I said I give him all the credit in the world for this. And what was this? This was after Charlie Kirk was killed, him saying that he was a good man, that he's praying for his soul, and urging his supporters not to be violent in response to this. And I got to say, I thought, as I think many of us did immediately after Charlie was killed, and immediately after your first reaction of feeling so horrible on a personal level for his family, you realize this is a very dangerous situation. And I got to say, for Nick Fuentes, being who he is, to have him telling his audience, hey, if you respond at all with violence to this, I completely disown you. We need to be Christians about this. We need to be peaceful. We should be praying for him and his family. I give him credit for that. Whatever other beef you got with him, that's between you two. I didn't say I agree with the guy on everything he's ever said. Well, hold on. Let me just respond. I didn't endorse everything the guy's ever said. I said I give him all the credit in the world for this, and then shared the clip of this. Pretty clear what I was saying. And by the way, I didn't chastise the kids at Charlie Kirk's event. I warned them that if you're supporting the destruction of a captive, stateless people in Gaza right now, that you will never be able to claim to be pro-life again without being rightfully viewed as the biggest hypocrite in the universe. That's an opinion that I will gladly defend. And I noticed in there, you're not actually taking on that argument. You're just telling me how disgusting I am for having it. So listen, man, I think that if there's one thing Charlie...
You hurt the children, David. Your comments hurt the feelings of the precious children.
would have wanted, it probably would have been for us to have this conversation without devolving into insults. You can say it's disgusting if you want to. I think there's a pretty strong argument for my point there. I think it's kind of undeniable. There's a real conflict between being pro-life and then also supporting a policy, the price tag of which is tens of thousands of slaughtered babies, children.
Well, on that point, Officer Tatum, I will let you respond, but let me just put that directly to you, because one of the reasons I've become increasingly critical of Netanyahu's government, and you interviewed Netanyahu a couple of weeks ago on your YouTube show, and we'll play a clip from that in a moment, but one of my, and he won't do my show, just for the record, since the war started, because I think one of the reasons he won't do me is because I would say to him, you're not achieving any of your war aims. You're not getting the hostages released. In fact, if anything, I'd say you're imperiling their lives more every day as goes on. You're not defeating Hamas, that much is clear. You're causing endless more devastation. Your cabinet right-wing members like...
you're in trouble when Piers Morgan is making good points against you.
Modric, Ben-Gvir and others, they're talking openly about ethnically cleansing all the Palestinians. Are you not concerned, Officer Tatum, with a fair-minded head about this, that actually it is no longer about a retaliatory self-defensive strike for what happens on October the 7th, but part of a much bigger plan, which many on the hard right in Israel have harbored for a long time, to displace Palestinians from their home in Gaza and from large swathes of the West Bank? Does that not concern you?
Okay, great question. Let me address a few things. I think that Nick Fuentes is disingenuous, and I felt like Dave Smith is intelligent enough, and I'm not challenging your intelligence, but I believe that you can see through the bullcrap on so many other people, and I felt like you should have seen the bullcrap through Nick Fuentes, because he's just saying that to save face now that Charlie is dead, and all the way up to his death, he shamed him. When it comes to the pro-life situation, there's a very big difference between articulating whether a person believes that life starts at conception, not perception, versus a person disagreeing with urban warfare and the way that Israel is carrying out their attacks in Gaza. There's two different things. They should not be conflated. When it comes to my concerns for Benjamin Netanyahu and his tactics in Israel, or his tactics against Gaza, there's a few things here. I think that Benjamin Netanyahu, and because the nature of the interview wasn't really a debate, it was more so me asking him questions that my audience wanted me to ask him and him putting the answers out there, and people can debate that. But I think a lot of people that I know in Israel, including myself and others that are staunch Zionists, think that he is prolonging the war too long and is causing too much damage and irreversible reputational damage. He should have ended it sooner.
At least he admits he's a staunch Zionist. I will give him credit for that. He just said staunch Zionists like myself. And
he should have went harder. In America, if we had faced such brutality, rape, people getting their heads cut off. I saw videos of people getting their heads cut off. We would have been swift within 48 hours.
The Israelis showed me doctored propaganda.
Have caused the most damage that you've ever seen to a country in world history. And Netanyahu, for whatever reason, is capitulating, in my personal opinion, to his own personal image, and that he don't want to look bad. He don't want to be shamed. He don't want people to say that he's committing a genocide. So he's playing in the middle for too long. 2 years of this war is too much. He should have eliminated Hamas immediately, and he should not worry about the naysayers. He's darned if he do, he's darned if he don't. He is not committing a genocide in Gaza. I think that's disingenuous.
This guy's like another one of those, like, I'm a good, like, blue-collar country person here to sell you a fucking product that I'm being paid to sell you.
At best, because no one committing a genocide would be giving food or aid to a people that they're trying to kill. They would not be sending leaflets and advising people of buildings that they're going to tear down. The population has grown in Gaza from 1948 all the way up until today. 500,000 they started with. They're at 2 million at this point. When did the genocide start? There is no genocide. People can argue the tactics that Netanyahu is displaying in Gaza, but you cannot be superfluous and add these arguments that seems to, in my opinion, be anti-Semitic in many ways. It's not. These people are terrorists, and not the Gazan people, the regular everyday individual, the terrorist group that came into a country and attempted to commit a genocide against Israel. They would have committed a genocide against Israel to a large proportion if it wasn't for the IDF and if it wasn't for the Iron Dome. Let's not forget they shot 4,000 missiles into Israel. They tried to kill everybody. The IDF is going in strategically. I wish that people had not died. I wish that they could end the war so there's no suffering. I wish that Hamas wasn't stealing food. The UN confirmed that 96% of all the aid is being looted. I wish that Hamas wasn't doing those things. I wish that Hamas would take the approach of Israel, which means when the rockets go flying into Israel, the people go into bomb shelters. When rockets go flying into Gaza, the terrorists go into bomb shelters, and they make their people stay above ground.
Yeah. Israel's the most moral army in the world, guys.
To be the blunt force of what they received in a war that they started for no reason.
Human shields.
Hamas knew they could never beat the IDF in Israel. Why did they start the war? Why did they initiate conflict? Why did they rape people and do things like that and videotape it? Why do they still have hostages?
You know the unpalatable.
Nick Cruz said it best. If you honestly believe that a bunch of like Hamas terrorists were able to like stop what they were doing under the machine gun fire and like helicopter fire and get hard and rape women, you're one of the dumbest people on the planet. Like, oh, they took Viagra and they just ran in and like with their guns and started raping everybody. It's such a like cartoonishly hysterical fucking clownish thing to believe. It's literally, anyway, I'll let this guy keep.
Full answer, Officer Tatum, I'll come to Dave Smith as well, but the unpalatable answer to that, maybe they did it precisely to goad Israel into a massive overreaction, which would then make Israel and its government in particular hugely unpopular around the world, to the extent that the United Nations is convening today with the UK declaring a state of Palestine. They're going to be followed by other countries. Only really America and Israel's opposing this. But it may well be that Hamas, being a bunch of evil terrorists, thought if we do this, Israel will massively...
I think Max said it best. But declare all the states you want. Stop sending weapons. Like, if you're serious about ending the genocide, stop sending weapons. No, we're gonna declare a state. Okay, great. You fucking declared a state. Stop sending weapons.
Overreact. They don't care about their own people dying. That's completely obvious. And it could well play into our longer term game plan. Who knows? But it could be that. In which case they've fallen for a hideous sucker punch. Dave Smith, your response to, lots to unpack there, but your response. And then also taking in this news today about countries like the UK, declaring there is a state in Palestine.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Brandon kind of almost hit every single talking point there. So I don't know. I mean, I've been knocking all these down for years on your show here. But the bottom line is just that it is just, look, to sit here and say that, even as you say, obviously, Pierce, it's not like Hamas had to be rocket scientists to figure this out. This is what terrorism is. It's asymmetrical warfare. The action is in the reaction. Osama bin Laden didn't think he could take down the United States of America by taking out our towers. He thought he could lure us into a war in Afghanistan and that might bankrupt us. It was the plan that our CIA coached him through in the late 70s and early 80s with luring the Soviets into Afghanistan. And so the idea that, and look, we did it. We blew $8 trillion in the Middle East since then. And so that's the idea here. And Israel's completely fallen into the trap. But of course, the reason why that Israel has done irreversible reputational damage, the reason why people are abandoning supporting this is really just twofold. Number one, it's clearly not in America's interest. And number two, this is just indefensible. Even if you say that, hey, look, Hamas goes down into the bomb shelters and leaves the civilians up there to be bombed. Okay, but then ain't there a moral question about whether it's the right thing to do to just drop those bombs on the civilians when you know the terrorists are down in the towers? Hold on, you had a chance to go through all this stuff.
I don't even think that's real, but like that's such a fucking like left hook to that talking point. He's like, okay, let's say, so they do that, and then you just bomb the civilians. What kind of a cunt are you? That's just a brilliant fucking like slap back from that dumbass talking point. Oh my God. And I don't think this guy's stupid either. He's clearly not a stupid guy. He's just being fed talking points. And so he sounds.
I know, but I want you to, can I just
you just went off on every
explain what they should
point,
do,
so
and I'll shut up. No, just explain that.
Okay, but I'm just going to finish. I'm just going to finish.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to finish what I did. Well, what they should do is embrace a two-state solution. Ultimately, they should stop occupying people as they've been
done
doing
it 5 times,
years.
and the Arabs
No, they
rejected
haven't.
it.
Okay, now
5 times, and the Arabs rejected it.
Yeah, I get it. I know you're going to hit every Hasbro talking point. That's not true. There have been lots of books. No, it's not. It's a talking point. It is not true. The Palestinians have never once been offered a full-fledged state. There is not one of those 5 times that they were ever offered a full state. Even, by the way, that's not even your own Hasbro talking point. You're supposed to say 97% of what they wanted, which also is a lie. The point is that it doesn't, no matter what you're going to say here, Israel propped up Hamas for years to keep them in power so that Netanyahu could thwart the creation of a Palestinian state, to then use them as a justification for mass slaughtering a captive people that you have kept stateless for 60 years is morally indefensible. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had to actually paint the full thing out. When I was talking about the pro-life analogy, yes, being pro-life is about believing that life begins at conception, but baked in there is also the assumption that you think it's wrong to murder kids. Like the point is that yes, if
nobody
you're pro-life,
thinks
then
it's
you
right
also
to murder kids.
Yes, but you're supporting a policy that is doing just that.
There's no policy to murder kids. It's urban warfare. Unfortunately, people die. There's no
Call it a different-
policy that
so
says
call it a
you should murder
different
kids.
name. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that is. Look, when you make a decision,
It's urban warfare. That's such an Orwellian word. Like, okay, well, I guess if it's urban warfare, then it's okay. Just fucking bomb all the kids you want. It's urban warfare, guys. Come on.
drop a bomb on a building where you know there are children inside of it. Yes, morally speaking,
leaflets,
you murdered those children.
Phone calls. You told them
the
to
leaflets make
evacuate.
it not murder. Okay. So how about when they don't?
There's no
How about this
intent.
last attack?
There's no
How
intent
about,
to murder them.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Follow up. How about when they don't? What about when they don't drop leaflets? What about when they don't have evacuation orders? They just did this in Gaza City yesterday. How about that? Is that now murder?
Well,
who cares if they drop leaflets? Oh, like fucking. The thing is, Dave's so good at just addressing the basic points and knocking them down. He doesn't even need to say how dumb the fucking question is. Whoa, they drop, or the original point is, oh, they drop leaflets before they fucking kill everybody. Like 30 seconds. Here's a fucking leaflet. Great. They drop some fucking leaflets. Like, but he even turns that down. Takes that, like, he takes them at his base claim and says, no. What about when they don't? Because they don't always do it.
Don't have your excuses. No. I could give you an example. They don't have to drop leaflets and get phone calls if they're
so then why are you bringing that up?
I'm saying when you're shooting weapons and Hamas is firing weapons and using it as a military base, they don't have to give leaflets to give evacuation. It's that if it's a civilian building or something where they can eliminate having casualties, they will do that to the best of their ability. But there's some instances where they can't give notification because Hamas is operating out of these hospitals, operating out of mosques. Right. And they have to do what they have to do in this warfare.
They have to. No, they don't. They actually don't have to.
What should they do then? What should they do?
By the way, I love Pierce. Should they do? I love Pierce. I think it was Aaron Matei who coined this phrase. I could be wrong about that. But someone said the entire Israeli case rests on you saying that nothing justifies October 7th. But October 7th justifies anything. Like nothing. You're sitting here. Yes. Look,
what should they do?
Pick one side or the other. One second. You can pick one side. I'll answer that question, but just interrupting my point with that question over and over again is just so I can't make my case. There is no. You can go tit for tat here. There's been terrorism on both sides. Israel has been occupying Gaza and the West Bank /and/or controlling Gaza and the West Bank since 1967. There's going to be resistance to that. And then for you to say that resistance now justifies us slaughtering people by the tens of thousands, destroying all of Gaza is just, there's no logic in it. There's no morality in it. What should Israel have done? Number one, Benjamin Netanyahu should have resigned on October 8th. After his plan to prop up Hamas, being this genius right-winger that I'm going to...
It's like George, it's the same dynamic as George Bush. Remember after 9/11 when they're like, George Bush let us get attacked on 9/11. And they're like, Bush kept us safe since 9/11. Yeah, but he allowed the biggest terrorist attack in history to happen. So Netanyahu allowed the biggest terrorist attack, whatever you want to believe about it, he allowed that to happen. He should resign.
keep Hamas in power because, in his words, he could control the height of the flame, and this will balance things and thwart a Palestinian state. When that blew up in his face, he should have resigned in disgrace that day. They should have had a real investigation about what actually happened on October 7th. Our late friend had some questions about that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
They should have really looked into that, which we've never gotten to the bottom of. And then they should have done.
This guy just interviewed Netanyahu on his show too. So it's, I mean, you don't get that interview if you're not checking certain boxes.
Surgical strikes, targeted assassinations, as Israel has always done throughout their entire history with the terrorism problem. They have never, until Netanyahu, treated it as a problem for the regular old army, and it should have culminated in a real peace process. They should have said, we are going to take out the people responsible for this by targeted strikes, and at the end of that, we're ending the occupation. We're giving all of East Jerusalem, all of the West Bank, and all of Gaza to the Arabs. It's their decision what they want to do in the future, but if we are attacked, we will treat them as a foreign nation and go to war with them. That's what the response to October.
And by the way,
So I'm going to stop right there,
was
and
the-
we're going to move on to the next story. But Dave Smith just absolutely mops the floor with that dude and makes him look like a complete tool, which he is. He's like, oh, you didn't even get your Hasbro talking point right. He just mops that dude up. And there's one point where he says something, you can just see the dude smile. He's like, oh shit, he got me on that one. Just the look on his face kind of says it. So that's why I have this graphic. He's like, no, please stop it.